What happens when a veteran player who spent months tearing down the biggest rising star in women's basketball suddenly finds herself on the outside looking in? For a long time, Aya Wilson believed she could control the narrative. She thought she could undermine Caitlin Clark's rise, question every achievement, and sabotage the momentum that was sweeping across the league. But now, as Team USA gears up for its newest and most important training camp, the spotlight has shifted, and the consequences Wilson never thought she would face have landed squarely at her feet. Caitlin Clark, the player whose name has become synonymous with record-breaking crowds, sold-out arenas, and electrifying basketball, has been invited into the heart of USA basketball's future. She will be stepping into a camp filled with the brightest young stars, players like Aaliyah Boston and Paige Bueckers, athletes who represent the next era of American dominance. These players are preparing for the future. Aya Wilson is watching from home. This moment is more than a roster decision. It is a message. It tells every player in the league that tearing down the face of the sport can come at a cost. For months, Wilson dismissed Clark's milestones, minimized her impact, and inserted herself into every conversation Clark generated. But as Team USA shapes its new identity, they chose players who elevate the sport, not those who drag it backward. While Clark begins this journey with excitement, focus, and a sense of responsibility, Wilson faces an uncomfortable reality. She may have championships and accolades on her resume, but her public behavior over the last year has damaged her standing. Instead of celebrating the growth of the league, she became the loudest critic of the very player bringing that growth. This camp is the beginning of something much bigger. It is not just about skill, it is about leadership, chemistry, and the vision of what Team USA wants to be. Caitlin Clark represents possibility. Aya Wilson now represents a lesson. Team USA did not invite Caitlin Clark to camp just to evaluate her. They invited her because they are building a new identity around the type of basketball she plays. When a player receives that call from USA Basketball, it is more than an opportunity, it is a statement. It is the beginning of a long-term plan, one that stretches across the World Cup, the Olympics, and the next generation of global competition. The roster at Duke looks like the future of the sport gathered in one place. Paige Bueckers brings her polished playmaking and calm under pressure. Aaliyah Boston arrives as a dominant interior presence with a growing offensive arsenal. Juju Watkins represents the next wave of young stars who are already reshaping college basketball. Each of these players adds something valuable. But what makes this camp different is how naturally they fit alongside Caitlin Clark. For the first time in years, Team USA is moving away from its traditional approach. Gone are the slow, grinded-out possessions and heavy interior focus. The coaching staff wants speed, rhythm, spacing, and quick decision-making. They want to run the floor before defenses can even think. They want dynamic playmaking instead of predictable half-court sets. Clark is the perfect blueprint for that shift. Behind closed doors, the coaches have already been talking about her role, not as a long-shot rookie hoping for a bench spot, but as a central figure in their game plan. They are studying how her shooting stretches defenses, how her passing opens lanes, and how her style forces teams to adapt. They are not asking if she fits the system. They are shaping the system around her. This is where the contrast becomes overwhelming. Wilson spent months insisting that the league revolved around her experience and her accolades. Meanwhile, Team USA is making decisions based on who can elevate the program for the next decade. They are not thinking about seniority. They are thinking about impact. Caitlin Clark has it. Aya Wilson does not. Clark arrives at camp ready to learn, but the truth is she is already guiding the direction of the team. The energy has shifted, and the future belongs to players who move the game forward, not hold it back. Inside the Duke training facility, the atmosphere feels different from any previous Team USA camp. This is not a gathering of players fighting for scraps or trying to impress coaches with basic drills. It is a blueprint session for the next era of international dominance. Every practice, every scrimmage, and every rotation choice is designed to answer one question: how do we maximize Caitlin Clark's strengths on a global stage? The coaching staff, influenced heavily by Sue Bird's vision, has shifted toward a modern, fluid approach. Bird is not just present as a mentor. She is shaping the philosophy from the ground up. She understands movement basketball better than almost anyone. She knows how spacing unlocks shooters, how pace collapses defenses, and how a quick-thinking guard can dismantle even the toughest international schemes. Clark fits that mold perfectly. The drills at camp reflect this new direction. Transition bursts that demand quick outlet passes and instant decision-making. 5-out spacing modules that create natural shooting lanes. Rapid ball movement sequences designed to punish defenses that chase instead of anticipate. These are not random training routines. They are built intentionally for a player like Clark, someone who thrives when the game accelerates. Behind closed doors, coaches have already begun assembling potential World Cup rotations. They talk openly about Clark as the primary floor general, the one who initiates, organizes, and dictates the pace. There is no hesitation, no uncertainty, no sense that she is earning her place through seniority. She is earning it through impact. Her film sessions show a player who sees the floor differently. Her practices show a leader who elevates everyone around her. This is why the conversations have shifted. Instead of asking if Clark will make the roster, they are asking which lineups complement her best, which shooters fit around her drive and kick game, which athletic forwards benefit from her full-court vision, how many minutes she should log in critical moments. These are questions reserved for stars, not newcomers. Meanwhile, Aya Wilson watches from the outside as the game evolves without her. The offense she once dominated has outgrown her style. The system no longer fits what she brings. The sport has moved forward, and she is no longer part of the blueprint. Traditionally, Team USA rookies are placed at the bottom of the ladder. They watch veterans lead huddles. They study plays instead of calling them. They earn minutes in garbage time while legends carry the real load. It is a slow climb, a quiet climb, and for decades it has been the unbreakable rule of the program. Caitlin Clark has shattered that rule before her first official possession. Coaches are not treating Clark like a wide-eyed newcomer. They are treating her like the engine, the one who decides the pace, the positioning, and the rhythm of the entire offense. During scrimmages, when shots stop falling or the floor spacing collapses, no one looks toward a veteran for direction. They look at Clark. The youngest player in the room is the one guiding the tempo. Her teammates feel it too. Aaliyah Boston runs the floor harder because she knows Clark will find her. Paige Buchers spaces the wing patiently, trusting Clark to hit her at the perfect moment. Angel Reese adjusts her rebounding angles because she understands Clark's deep range pulls defenders away from the paint. The chemistry is already forming, and that is what separates Clark from rookies of the past. She does not join a system. She transforms it. The staff recognizes that this rare combination of leadership and skill is too valuable to sit on the bench. They are not planning for her to wait her turn. They are planning around her timeline. They want her to master the international game early so that by the time the 2026 World Cup begins, she is not adjusting. She is orchestrating. 2 full years before the 2028 Olympics gives Clark a luxury few players ever receive. Real-time chemistry with her future teammates. Hundreds of practices. Multiple tours abroad. Shared locker rooms, shared mistakes, shared breakthroughs. This is how gold medal teams are built. Not in the bright lights of the main event, but in the quiet hours before it. While Clark rises through the ranks at unprecedented speed, Aya Wilson faces the opposite reality. For the first time, she is no longer central to the future. She is watching that future take shape without her. There comes a moment in every athlete's career when the public stops seeing them as a star and starts seeing them as a storyline. For Aya Wilson, that shift happened the moment jealousy became louder than performance. Her social media posts were no longer celebrations. They were warnings, each one revealing more frustration and insecurity than the last. It started with the subtle jabs. She questioned Caitlin Clark's assist records, suggesting they were exaggerated. She rolled her eyes at Clark's Rookie of the Year honors, implying voters were biased. When Clark became the top-selling jersey in W history, Wilson blamed marketing politics instead of acknowledging Clark's global appeal. The public could feel the resentment behind every comment. Then came the campaign that changed everything. Wilson's shoe promotion, her "I have a shoe too" moment, was supposed to be empowering. Instead, it exposed exactly what she was trying to hide. Clark's Nike sneaker drops were turning into online stampedes. Retailers sold out in minutes. Resellers doubled the price. Kids lined up wearing Clark merch. Wilson's brand could not match that momentum, and fans sensed her discomfort. The harder she pushed, the more obvious the gap became. Her cryptic messages, her delayed is not denied posts, felt like attempts to steal attention during Clark's biggest milestones. Every time Clark broke a record or stepped into a new spotlight, Wilson rushed to post something, anything, to remind people she was still here. Instead of raising her profile, those posts damaged her public image. Fans began calling her bitter. Sponsors saw inconsistency. Team USA saw a player more focused on rivalries than unity. The breaking point arrived when Wilson dragged race into the conversation, suggesting that Clark's Time Magazine Athlete of the Year award had nothing to do with merit. That moment changed everything. It was no longer simple jealousy. It became divisive, personal, and unprofessional. USA Basketball, already planning the future around Clark, did not want that type of energy anywhere near their locker room. Her frustration turned into the very reason doors began closing around her. The more she tried to tear down Clark, the more she tore down her own legacy, while Aya Wilson watched from home, frustrated and sidelined by her own decisions. The landscape of women's basketball continued shifting without her. The world did not pause to wait for her to catch up. Instead, it embraced a new direction, led by a player who had become more than an athlete. Caitlin Clark had grown into a phenomenon that moved merchandise, elevated ratings, and united fans across every corner of American sports culture. The Nike deal was the final confirmation of her rise. 8 years, $28 million, and a signature shoe line attached to the Kobe legacy was not just a contract. It was a coronation. Nike did not gamble on hype. They invested in movement, momentum, and star power that stretched far beyond the court. Clark was selling out arenas, boosting TV numbers to historic highs, and inspiring millions of young athletes worldwide. She had changed the league's direction without asking for permission. Wilson's reaction to that deal was the moment USA Basketball stopped seeing her as part of the future. Her passive-aggressive posts about patience, her comments suggesting she deserved the spotlight as much as Clark, her attempts to compete with Clark's business numbers. All of it painted a picture of a veteran who could not handle the success of the player who was now carrying the sport into a global era. Behind the scenes, Team USA had already made up their mind. Their focus was on chemistry, market growth, and preparing for an international stage where pace, spacing, and creativity determined who won gold. Clark fit that system perfectly. Wilson did not. Clark brought new fans into the building. Wilson pushed them away with negativity. Clark spread excitement. Wilson spread tension. When the Team USA camp invitations were finalized, Clark's name was highlighted in gold. Wilson's name was removed entirely. One generation was rising, the other was falling behind. Today, Clark stands at the center of a historic transition. 2 years before the World Cup, 4 years before the Olympics in Los Angeles. She now has the one thing no women's basketball prodigy has been given before: time to build, time to grow, and time to lead the national program into a new era. Wilson's story ends with a harsh truth. Jealousy cost her everything. The future she wanted now belongs to the player she tried so hard to tear down.